Here is your text converted into clean paragraph form, without skipping the narrative content, removing the timestamps, and preserving the script style. Alice Fredenham stepped onto the Britain's Got Talent stage and stole the hearts of millions of people around the world. Simon Cowell gave her one of the biggest compliments he has ever given anyone, and her audition tape remains one of the most watched in the show's history. But what Alice did after the show ended left everyone stunned. She had everything it takes to become the next big star, yet she made the surprising decision to walk away. The reason behind that decision is far darker than many could have imagined. Why did Alice Fredenham abandon the spotlight when it was shining brightest on her? The truth about her personal life and career struggles continues to shock fans even today. The rise of Alice Fredenham. Alice Fredenham started out like many others chasing a dream. There was something incredibly delicate and emotional about her that drew millions of people in. Yet she disappeared from the spotlight almost as quickly as she arrived. Although she would later be dubbed the liquid gold of Britain's Got Talent, Alice's first major attempt at stardom came in 2013 on another television platform, The Voice UK. At 28 years old, with nerves hidden behind eyeliner and a gentle smile, she performed the jazz classic The Lady is a Tramp. It should have been a breakthrough moment, but instead not a single judge turned their chair. Her performance was met with a kind of silence that cuts through every layer of confidence a performer possesses. She walked away from that stage carrying the sting of rejection and disappointment. Yet what seemed like a crushing defeat would ultimately become the spark that pushed her toward a different opportunity. After her unsuccessful appearance on The Voice UK, Alice decided to take another chance, this time auditioning for Britain's Got Talent. What made this decision particularly risky was that she kept it completely secret. She did not tell her friends, family, or even her boyfriend at the time. That secret decision would become one of the biggest turning points of her life. There was one major obstacle standing in her way. Alice suffered from severe stage fright. It was not simply nervousness or pre-show jitters. Her body would shake, her voice would freeze, and she would experience overwhelming anxiety that made her question her own worth and abilities. Yet on the night of her audition, something extraordinary happened. As soon as she began singing My Funny Valentine, the judges and audience became captivated. Her voice was not merely beautiful, it was enchanting. Simon Cowell, known for rarely showing emotion, leaned forward in amazement. When she finished, he praised her by saying she had a voice like liquid gold. In that moment, Alice Fredenham became an overnight sensation. The audition clip exploded across the internet. Millions watched it, and countless viewers felt deeply moved by her performance. She seemed to possess every quality needed to win the competition. However, dreams that rise quickly often face difficult challenges. When Alice returned for the semifinals, the pressure was immense. Expectations from both fans and judges had reached extraordinary levels. Behind the scenes, circumstances were becoming increasingly difficult. She had prepared one song but was reportedly asked to change it at the last minute. That sudden adjustment disrupted her confidence and brought back her stage fright with full force. She appeared visibly shaken during the performance. Although her voice remained beautiful, the magical quality that had defined her audition seemed diminished. In the end, she was eliminated from the competition. The young woman with the golden voice disappeared from the stage almost as quickly as she had arrived. For fans who had fallen in love with her remarkable talent, the result was heartbreaking. Yet many remained optimistic about her future. After all, she possessed everything needed to become a global star. Fans expected interviews, album announcements, concert tours, and major career opportunities. Strangely, none of those developments appeared. Her social media activity remained limited. There were no major announcements about upcoming music projects. Within a matter of months, it seemed as though Alice Fredenham had vanished entirely from public view. One question lingered in the minds of everyone who had admired her talent. What really happened after the cameras stopped rolling? Industry struggles and personal battles. Following her breakout success on Britain's Got Talent, serious discussions reportedly took place regarding her potential as the next major success story from the show. For a brief period, that possibility appeared realistic. Behind the scenes, industry professionals expressed interest in working with her. Shortly after her appearance, Sony Music reportedly offered Alice a demo deal. The purpose was to determine whether she could record a studio album and establish herself as a commercially successful artist. While it was not a full recording contract, it represented an opportunity that many contestants never receive. Unfortunately, the opportunity did not develop as hoped. Alice entered the studio and recorded demo material, but the project never progressed into a full album release. No official explanation was publicly provided. However, industry observers suggested that her musical style did not align with the commercial direction Sony wanted at the time. Alice's voice was rooted in classic jazz traditions rather than contemporary pop trends. While her sound was unique and emotionally powerful, it may not have fit comfortably within the mainstream market that record executives were targeting. For Alice, the rejection was not merely professional. It became deeply personal. Fame had never come naturally to her, and public performances were already emotionally exhausting. Being dropped after what seemed like her greatest opportunity intensified the disappointment she had already experienced following her Britain's Got Talent elimination. Over the next year, she continued pursuing music independently. However, the momentum generated by her viral success gradually faded. She slowly began stepping away from the public eye. Her website eventually disappeared, and social media activity became increasingly rare. What concerned fans most was the absence of any formal announcement. There were no retirement statements, no farewell messages, and no explanations. Alice simply faded from view. As time passed, it became clear that her disappearance involved more than professional setbacks. In interviews given after Britain's Got Talent, Alice openly discussed her struggles with confidence and severe performance anxiety. She explained that her stage fright could become so intense that it triggered panic attacks and physical illness before performances. While audiences admired her honesty, the reality was that the demands of a professional music career conflicted dramatically with her personality and emotional well-being. As the music industry became increasingly dependent on social media visibility and self-promotion, the pressure only intensified. For someone already battling anxiety and self-doubt, maintaining a constant public presence became extraordinarily difficult. Although Alice possessed undeniable talent and a devoted fan base, the business side of the industry appeared far less accessible to her. By 2016, her digital presence had nearly vanished. Her album remained available online, but there were no signs of new recordings or public appearances. Fans were left wondering whether she was simply taking a break or permanently leaving the music industry. Many observers believe that mental health struggles may have played a significant role in her withdrawal. Although Alice never publicly detailed her condition, the pattern was familiar. Artists who experience sudden worldwide attention often find themselves overwhelmed by the pressure. Combined with rejection, uncertainty, and constant scrutiny, such experiences can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a loss of creative motivation. As a result, Alice Fredenham, the singer who had once captivated millions with a single performance, became increasingly silent. For many years, it appeared that her story had come to an end. Re-emergence in independent music. Just when fans had nearly stopped searching for updates, something unexpected happened. New videos surfaced online featuring Alice's familiar voice. Although she was no longer appearing on national television, it became clear that she had not completely abandoned music. After years of silence, Alice slowly re-emerged. This return was very different from her earlier rise to fame. There were no viral moments or television appearances. Instead, she focused on smaller and more personal performances. Around 2014, she began appearing at local showcases and charity events. These performances received little publicity and were often advertised only through local listings or word-of-mouth recommendations. For Alice, this represented a deliberate change. Smaller venues provided a more comfortable environment where she could perform without the overwhelming pressure of national exposure. At the same time, she explored independent ways of producing music. Without major label support, she turned to crowdfunding. In early 2015, she launched a Kickstarter campaign to finance her debut album. The goal was £30,000, a modest target for an independent production. To the delight of her supporters, the campaign exceeded expectations. More than £40,000 was pledged by fans who still believed in her talent. The success demonstrated that despite her absence from the spotlight, a loyal audience remained committed to supporting her journey. The resulting album, titled Under the Covers, featured a collection of jazz and soul classics. Rather than reinventing herself, Alice stayed true to the musical style that had first captured public attention. The album reflected her authentic artistic identity, intimate, understated, emotional, and rooted in timeless vintage influences. Reviews from fans blogs, and crowdfunding supporters were generally positive. Many praised the purity of her voice and the emotional subtlety of her performances. She had remained faithful to the sound that originally made her stand out. Despite strong artistic reception, the album struggled commercially. Distribution challenges limited its reach. Without a major label infrastructure, radio promotion, playlist placement, or significant marketing campaigns, the project never reached a broad audience. As a result, Under the Covers remained largely confined to her existing fan base. Although listeners who discovered it often appreciated its quality, the broader public barely noticed its release. Following the album, fans hoped for a larger comeback. Many anticipated new singles, music videos, or regular updates. Unfortunately, those expectations were never fulfilled. After several additional small performances, Alice once again retreated from public life. Her website disappeared. Social media activity stopped. Questions from fans about future projects remained unanswered. Once again, there was no controversy, no public conflict, and no dramatic farewell. Only another quiet step away from visibility. By 2016, the comeback effort had effectively ended. There were no signs of another album, and live performances ceased entirely. 4 years afterward, fans heard virtually nothing from Alice Fredenham. Where is Alice Fredenham now? In the years that followed, only traces of Alice's career remained online. Her album, old interviews, and memorable Britain's Got Talent audition clips continued circulating on the internet, but Alice herself remained absent. By 2023, curiosity regarding her whereabouts resurfaced. Local journalists attempted to contact her for updates, but reportedly received no response. Emails and messages went unanswered, and no representatives were available to speak on her behalf. Around the same time, Cherry Red Records, the independent label associated with her album distribution, confirmed what many had suspected. According to the label, Alice had retired from the music industry and wished to maintain her privacy. The statement offered no further details. There was no explanation regarding future plans or the reasons behind her decision. The message was straightforward. Alice had stepped away and preferred a private life. For longtime fans, this confirmation marked an important turning point. For years, many had hoped she would eventually return to music. Her independent album and occasional performances had kept those hopes alive. The word retired, however, suggested that a comeback was unlikely. Since then, no significant updates have emerged.